toy launch pad. Keep the kids at a safe distance. This is a job for...
Darkwing Duck!
Precisely. And now for a lesson in manners, you Martian miscreants. Take a hike, bub. I'm the hero in this precinct. No room for interstellar hooligans around here. Please, no need for thanks.
There's nothing wrong with a B-rated movie. I'm sure most of you guys heard of Ed Wood and Plan 9 from Outer Space, but we get something similar like that. Okay, guys, welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Will Santana, and
I'm Mike Russo. And as for what happened to the space aliens, beats me.
We have no clue. It's a good running joke, man. All right, Mike, how's it going, man?
Yes, I'm good. This episode itself didn't thrill me, but I'm doing good.
Okay, I know you're not a fan of this episode. It's okay. I'm not gonna say I like it or anything like that. I'm not crazy about it, but it's doable for me. Okay.
You know what? When we talked about Apes of Wrath, I said it then that just because you're a fan of Darkwing Duck doesn't mean you're obliged to love every episode.
Oh, of course not.
And even Tad Stones himself has said that no one's a big enough. You're not gonna find someone harder on the show than he is. So, so it's okay. Once in a while, there's episodes we don't like, and that's how it's, not a big deal.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, out of 91, they can't expect you to like every single episode,
Yeah, it's just not possible.
Yeah, even like with DuckTales, man, there was quite a few I didn't like, and then I'm not a fan of the Bubba season.
I like the season as long as he's not in it. because I love Gizmo Duck, so that's fine by me. I just no, I've never liked Bubba. Going on record now, I don't like that character. I don't like those episodes. I know there are people who like him, but for the most part, people don't like him. So yeah, those episodes I'm not really into. But yeah, there's no show I could think of where I love every single episode. Maybe The Simpsons up until about season 8. I can't think of any bad episodes of The Simpsons. Other than that, yeah, you're right.
Well, Mike, this episode, matter of fact, just name the episode real quick.
It's Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlatan.
Mm-hmm. Well, this episode basically set in the movie set, right?
Yeah.
So you wanted to discuss some film a little bit today before we get into our review.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you wanted to discuss what are our favorite episodes. Our favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, that's a fun discussion to have.
Okay, you didn't want to list them. You just wanted to just name some, throw them out there, maybe why we like them or something.
Yeah, it gives people who are listening a chance to get to know what our tastes are. It can't just be all Darkwing Duck, right?
Yeah, of course not. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first, or you kind of want to go back and forth where I name one or two, you name one or two?
Go back and forth. I'll start.
Okay.
Okay, so I've mentioned several times already. This is probably the 4th or 5th time I'll say it. I love Godzilla movies. I got into Godzilla movies when I was 7. Mm-hmm. So we're talking close to 35 years of watching these films. I love them all. More the older ones, the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I know people make fun of them, the men in the suits, the cardboard buildings, which are, it's not true. It's not cardboard buildings, but they're as long as you can shut your brain off for a lot of them and just put yourself in the mindset of being back a kid back then, they're just fun movies. And I have my interest in Godzilla is far over the years has really eclipsed Darkwing Duck. I have a massive Godzilla toy collection that right now is all in storage. Nothing's displayed at the moment. A few things are, but most people who know me know I like Godzilla first and foremost. I've been to Godzilla conventions. I've met a lot of people who worked on the Godzilla movies. A lot of my friends, especially on social media, are Godzilla fans too. So yeah, those are my favorite movies pretty much of all time.
Is the OG Godzilla your favorite of all the Godzillas?
Yes, the original Godzilla. Yeah, basically, like I said, the older films from back in the day.
Well, you know how I operate, so you got to throw that one out the window. What's your favorite Godzilla now?
Now?
No, I mean like you can't pick the OG Godzilla movie. What's your favorite Godzilla?
Oh, the very first one. I can't pick that one. That's never been my favorite anyway.
Oh, okay.
My all-time favorite is a movie called Destroy All Monsters that was made in 1968, and they have like all the monsters are in it. Okay. That's my all-time favorite. You know what? I'll mention it if anybody's listening who happens to be interested. You know the company Criterion?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I got a huge Criterion collection.
They, as of a day ago from this recording, Criterion put out a box set of all the old Godzilla movies. The first time anybody's ever had all of them together in one collection. Criterion just did that as their 1,000th title.
Ooh, Criterion's going to be expensive then.
Criterion wants over $200 for it. You can get it on Amazon for $160.
You better wait for that Barnes and Noble sale.
That's what most people are doing, waiting for the Barnes and Noble sale. And it comes in this huge box with like a hardcover book and everything like that. So anybody who's interested in checking these movies out, it's a good way to do it. And it's expensive, but when you consider how much you're getting a lot. But moving on from Godzilla, tell me what you like.
Well, that's funny. My top two favorite movies of all time are both Criterion movies. My number one is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. I love that movie. Oh yeah, I love it, man. I love how you got all the cameos from all the comedians during that time in the 60s. I wish they would actually remake that movie like today with today's comedians. Like you throw in Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, what's that bird guy, the first name? Chris Rock. Throw all these comedians in there. Tiffany Haddish. I wish they would remake that movie with today's comedians, man. I think it would do well. Probably. Of course, modify it, instead of having helicopters chase them down, GPS trackers and all that kind of stuff.
Probably wouldn't be as good though.
Of course, nothing would be as good as the original. And then my second favorite film of all time is another Criterion one. It's called Seven Samurai. Oh, I love that damn movie.
That's funny. This isn't going to be the first time in the podcast that movie's going to come up. Funny enough, because I'll be mentioning that sooner or later on. So funny. That's actually interesting. You like that movie, huh?
I love it to death, man.
Kurosawa.
Oh yeah. So, you got another one you wanted to mention?
I love 80s movies. I love Gremlins. One of my all-time favorite. I actually like the sequel more.
Me too.
I love the sequel because it's just completely insane. It's like a living cartoon, basically, that movie. I also love The Goonies.
Oh, I love The Goonies.
And Beetlejuice.
I love Beetlejuice. And what's crazy about Beetlejuice is Michael Keaton is only in the movie 18 minutes.
For a character whose name is in the title, he's not the main character.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember reading up on it, and they said Michael Keaton filmed all his scenes in one day.
That doesn't shock me.
One day.
All that makeup? I'd only want to do that once.
I know, right? 18 minutes. That's all he's in that movie, man. 18 minutes. But I guess for me to just briefly name some, I love this movie called Mindhunters. It's with LL Cool J, Val Kilmer, and Kristen Slater.
Heard of it. Never seen it. Yeah.
You never seen it? Oh, it's a great movie.
No.
It has a slow start. I will tell you that. It's a very slow start. It's a movie about these FBI profilers. They're in training, and they're solving this fake mystery, but it turns into being something real. They're all dying, so they're trying to figure out who's the killer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Another one, Slumdog Millionaire, Saving Private Ryan. I'm trying to think more modern because I went old school with the other two.
Boy, you're a big fan of Oscar bait, aren't you?
The Departed. I'm a huge fan of The Departed.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. I don't want to stay on this topic too long.
No.
You got any more you want to name, or you want to kind of move on?
Yeah, the last things some of my favorite movies are the original Jim Henson Muppet movies.
I remember you saying that.
I have said that before. The Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan. I love those films. I can watch those.
I've always been 50-50 with. I like one here. I don't like one there. I like this one. Don't like that one. I'm kind of 50-50 with the Muppets.
It depends on what era of Muppets you're watching.
I do like the other one better.
it kind of really goes downhill after Jim Henson dies.
So did you like Fraggle Rock?
You know what? I have not seen much of Fraggle Rock. My wife is more familiar with it. I'll have to get the complete DVD set sooner or later so I can really watch it.
Okay. And didn't Jim Henson also do Dark Crystals?
Yes, Dark Crystal and Labyrinth.
Okay. Oh, I love Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Crystals.
Yeah, Dark Crystal's tough because
but it has a huge fan base and cult, man. You know,
it's a very well-made film technically, but yeah,
I'm just not crazy about it.
Yeah, me neither. Labyrinth is better though.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move on, Mike, and let's move on to our episode.
Yep, Hush Hush Sweet Charlatan, which I had no idea what that episode title was even referencing as a kid. It's actually referencing an older movie called Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, a 1964 psychological thriller. Of course, I had no idea I didn't even know what a charlatan was when I was a kid. It took me years to figure out what that was. So yeah, that's the title of the episode. And
go ahead. I was going to ask you our production date or production order and air date.
So yeah, the original air date was Wednesday, September 25th, 1991, and we're still going like every single day is a new episode. It won't be too long before that, the reruns start coming in. And it's 12th in production order, so actually it comes right after Trading Faces. It's our second Tuskernini show. Remember I said back a few episodes ago that Film Flam was the third Tuskernini show. His first episode, it will not be airing for a long time.
Oh, wow.
So this is his second one.
So do we have a while before we see Tuskernini again?
No, his next episode comes up in a little bit. Okay. His next one by air date is Slaves to Fashion.
All right. We're getting closer to my boy, too, ain't we?
Yeah, not too many episodes between now and then.
Okay. All right.
And our story editor in this episode is a new one, Bruce Talkington. And basically his career was basically all Disney shows. He got his start, now I haven't mentioned this yet, in 86 on a Disney television special called The Fluppy Dogs. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
It was a pilot for a TV show that never got picked up. It came out in 86, right after Gummy Bears, and he wrote that. That was his first writing assignment for Disney. And he basically just did Disney shows. He died in 2000 at the age of 51, which is really young. And I tried to figure out why, and for the life of me, I could not find any info on why he passed away so soon. He also was a story editor on the next episode we're going to talk about, Can't Buy You Love, as well. It was also written by Carter Crocker. We mentioned him. So, yeah. And it was animated by Sun Wu. And out of all the Sun Wu episodes, I think this might be one of their worst in terms of animation. You agree, right?
I definitely agree. With Sun Wu's up to this point, they've been solid. I think they've been decent. Nothing spectacular. They always have two scenes that seem minimum that whoa, that looks really nice,
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
This episode, I didn't get anything though.
No. It's the first sequence is
that was the potential. That was the potential one.
And the character animation itself is all right in the first scene. The characters are a little off model, but the drawings are kind of funny. And then after that, just the animation falls apart. Like everything takes place in broad daylight, and there's just no character to it. And it's just a lot of Darkwing is weird and like off model and like he's drawn way too tall, and his beak is overly simplified. There's nothing interesting in this episode, and it's a shame. But there are a few episodes with worse animation than this, but this is probably the worst Sun Wu show. And it doesn't help the episode because this episode to me is hard to watch from a writing, editing, and animation standpoint. So it's not just Sun Wu's fault. But you know what? Let's just jump into the plot and talk about the episode.
All right, let's get into it. It starts off with Darkwing driving through St. Canard, which is kind of cool. You get to see some of the city and stuff. I just felt like that was a blown animation scene. That was a scene that they could have really wowed us with him driving on the bridge, the skyscrapers in the background, lights on,
Yeah.
lights off, Uh, I don't want to stay on the animation too long, but Darkwing's
No.
driving through the city, and he's kind of narrating or speaking in third person.
You know
Kinda,
him. Speaks in
yeah.
third person, goes on and on about what he's doing. That's Darkwing.
Yeah.
But then he has to stop because he has to pick the kids up from the movies.
Yeah, he has to pick him up from the movies, and he notices a UFO flying by.
Right, so he automatically gets the assumption that St. Canard is being invaded by aliens.
Yep.
But it isn't. It's just a movie shoot.
Yeah.
And,
he's interfering, and he jumps in, and he doesn't realize he's in the movie for a moment.
Yeah, the way he acts in this opening scene, if I was Tuskernini, I'd be aggravated with him too.
Mm-hmm.
He just jumps right in. He won't leave the actors alone.
Mm-hmm.
When he finds out it's not really an alien invasion, he won't stop. He is such a specific way that he thinks a hero on film should be, that he's insane. And Gosalyn begs him to stay. She wants to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And they do one of those jokes where he tells her no, but then cut to the next shot and she got her way.
Mm-hmm. Well, we in this scene though, we also get to meet Gloria Swansong. Was that her name, Swansong?
Yeah, and the owner of the movie studio,
AF
Erret.
Erret. Where they kept accidentally calling him Ferret.
Yeah, it's a whole running gag. They call him Ferret over and over again. So yeah, they're both in this scene. So AF Erret is he's voiced by Richard Caron. I don't have much to say about him. 1979, he was working in live action. I think this character might be one of his earliest animation roles in 91.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those people who are in a little bit of everything. His last role was in 2000, and he passed away in 2017 at the age of 82.
Oh, we just lost him.
Just lost him. And Gloria Swansong was voiced by a woman named B.J. Ward. She's one of those people who's, again, in a little bit of everything. Even if you don't recognize her voice, you probably recognize the name. Mm-hmm. And she was working in live action animation starting in 78, and she's in a little bit of everything. Like literally a little bit of everything in every decade. Her last credit was in 2016. I don't know if she retired or she hasn't done something, done much recently, but yeah. So Richard Caron and B.J. Ward are our guest voices in this one. And,
I just gotta mention that she voiced Scarlet in G.I. Joe, because I gotta give a shout out to Michael Bell with that. Michael Bell's really known for G.I. Joe.
Well, there you go, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And Tuskernini is here with a design change.
Mm-hmm.
He's who would you say he's modeled after? Spielberg?
You could say Spielberg or Lucas. I could see that.
He's got the big beard and the baseball hat and the vest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is Spielberg, but you're right. It could be Lucas, but it's not the typical Tuskernini design. But it's still Kenneth Mars, and the Penguins are still there.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the actors gets injured by a ray gun that actually is loaded.
Oh yeah, the main actor.
Yeah, and poor Darkwing ends up in the newspaper for not doing anything about it.
What was his name? Space Duck, wasn't it?
I think it was something like that.
Because the name of the movie was Space Duck Teenage Mutant
Martian Mallards.
Martian Mallard, the 12th.
Yeah, and obviously that's Ninja Turtles back when they were still popular.
Oh yeah.
And there is a running gag in this. Every time Darkwing goes over to Tuskernini, he addresses him by a famous movie director.
Mm-hmm.
He calls him Hitch. You know who that is, right?
Yep, Hitchcock, of course.
Yeah,
man.
of course, Hitchcock, The Bird, Psycho, Vertigo. Later,
Real quick, what's your favorite Hitchcock movie?
I'm gonna say The Birds. No, Psycho. Psycho. I don't think there's any other answer for that one. How about yours?
I can't think of the name of it. It's the one where they're on the train and they switch places, or switch murders or something.
Ooh, not sure. We will have to check that one out later.
Let me Google it real quick. while you keep talking.
Next up, he says Akira. And again, we're getting back to Akira Kurosawa. Seven Samurai, Rashomon, The Hidden Fortress. So yeah, one of the greatest directors that ever came out of Japan. And then he calls him Orson. Orson Welles. Orson Welles. And
the name of the movie. The name of the movie, Strangers on the Train.
There we go. That's what I thought it was, but I didn't want to be wrong. So thank you for checking that out. So
Go ahead,
Orson Welles. Speaking of, this will be the only time I'm going to get a chance to talk about this. Orson Welles. If you want to hear something really nuts, go on YouTube and find the video of Orson Welles trying to do a commercial. And he's having a hard time doing it because he feels it's beneath him. And he's being all belligerent and he's cursing and he's just being difficult. And then after you watch that, go find the Pinky and the Brain cartoon called Yes Always, where it's just the brain doing pretty much word for word that Orson Welles thing. Mm-hmm. Now, anybody, if you have not seen that, you need to see that.
Okay.
Because it's hilarious. I'll tell you more about it later. So yeah, he calls him Hitch, Ingmar. I don't know who that is. But I looked and I have no idea. And Akira and Orson. I find that pretty cool. And they keep referencing the directors. Okay, so Darkwing decides to go back to the movie studio and figure out what's going on, you know? Find out why this movie was sabotaged. And Gosalyn and Honker sneak off after him because they want to... I think Gosalyn wants to make her own movie.
Yeah, she seems to keep bringing up how she got all these ideas and stuff.
Yeah, Gosalyn and Honker, I feel like don't really have to be in this one starting from this point. They could have been in the beginning, fine, but once Drake leaves the house, he is not shown with Gosalyn and Honker throughout the rest of the episode. They follow him into the movie studio, and then they don't really matter in the episode. And
yeah, they just kind of show up for gags here and there.
Yeah, they don't. You could take them out, and the episode wouldn't change.
Yeah.
So Darkwing, Drake, that I should say, shows up at the studio, and then changes into Darkwing.
And that's when we get our first Terror in the Night line, right?
Yep. He says, "I am the hair in the lens of your projector." And have you ever watched an old movie and you see a little squiggly line on the bottom of the screen that just stays there on screen?
Yep.
That's a hair stuck in the projector. That's what Darkwing is referencing. There's a great Tex Avery cartoon where you think there's a hair in the projector, but then the character leans over, pulls out the hair, and tosses it aside. Okay, so then we have this
security guard.
Yeah, we have a classic security guard sequence where someone's trying to get into a movie studio and security guard won't let it happen. It's, it happened to Daffy Duck. There was a couple of Tiny Toons episodes where Plucky couldn't get into a movie studio. And that's the whole basis of Animaniacs, isn't it? With the guard.
Yeah.
So yeah, Darkwing keeps getting kicked out of the studio. I do like this scene where he plays on the guard's emotions.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes him cry.
And then he realizes he got no kids.
And the guard goes, "There's no structure to my universe." And the guard is voiced by Jim. Much like the guard in the last episode, Trading Faces.
The guard looked like the police officer from what's the name of the episode? Easy Comes, Easy Grows.
Yeah, it does kind of look like him, doesn't it?
Kind of they just kind of made him bigger,
Right.
Yeah.
So Darkwing ends up at the screening where AF Erret's all aggravated because Darkwing ruined the movie, and he just wants Darkwing to go away. I mean, the way Darkwing acts in this one, I don't really blame him. Darkwing is so dense that he thinks a fly in the projector is an innocent bystander. And so I like this other joke. Gosalyn and Honker are on a tour bus, and the tour guide says the top half of the building was constructed in 1925, but the bottom half was constructed in 1929.
that makes no sense. I know, right?
That makes absolutely no sense.
And who voiced the tour guide?
I don't know.
Katie Lee.
Was it Katie?
Katie Lee.
Oh, good. Okay, I did not know that. I was gonna guess it could have been Christine, but yeah, Katie, that works. I can hear it in my head now. Yeah, it's Katie.
and then we get Tuskernini meeting up with the Penguins.
Yeah, he reveals his plan.
And before we get in, well, he reveals his plan, but before we reveal what the plan was, I love the way that scene ended.
Yes.
Okay, but let's get back to the plan.
Okay, so he reveals the studio is sitting on top of oil, because of course it is. And
what he's been trying to buy it, right?
Well, he's trying to sabotage the movie so that the studio loses money. So AF Erret will sell it to someone for cheap. So yeah, he's trying to buy it. And I do like how the scene ends.
Oh yeah, Iris out.
Yeah, Iris out. You know what? When they use Tuskernini like that, it makes me like him more. He's not my favorite, but I feel like every so often they do something like that, and I'm like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, what are this sequence is kind of neat where Darkwing and Launchpad are trying to hide from the guard by dressing up in different disguises.
Yeah, we get them boxing. We get them sitting on the bench like they're in love.
Yeah, the John and Marcia thing.
Yeah, sword fighting.
And I think they do this mainly because they have to give you something fun visually. Because Launchpad gives us this big info dump.
Oh
about
Gloria
and the Phantom.
Yeah, she had 27 husbands and they're all dead. When I heard that, it made me think of the movie Clerks when he was like, and she was like something like 37 or 36, was it?
37.
37
in a row. Yeah, for the sake of keeping this a G-rated podcast, that's all we're gonna say about Clerks.
Yeah, we can't.
Good movie though. I do like. It's one of the few Kevin Smith films I still like, even as an adult. So anyway, yeah. So I think the part of the reason they did all the disguises is so that all that info Launchpad gives us, at least he gives it to us, but it's still fun to watch.
It seems like Launchpad always gives us the info when it comes to the film.
Yeah, well, Launchpad knows about this stuff more than Darkwing ever would. But then again, he did say he read it in a tabloid.
Yeah.
That's very Launchpad. But now we know there's a Phantom lurking around.
Yeah, and then another actor is injured.
Yeah, because nobody knows what happened to the aliens, but now they're filming a completely different scene with a count and a countess, and Darkwing gets hit with a stage light, and then he's dropped a chandelier on the actor, right?
Yep.
And again, he ends up in the newspaper for doing nothing.
Yeah, man. They clowned him in the newspaper, and the tour guy repeats exactly what the newspaper article said.
On your right, Darkwing dope, incompetent crime fighter. And then, of course, things couldn't get any more annoying. The security guard shows up. Darkwing goes, "Go ahead, impose on my good nature." And then the staging in this shot is funny. You got AF Erret on the phone, and Darkwing flies by in the background.
Yeah, he's on the phone with somebody trying to buy the studio
for like $25,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
that's a ridiculously low amount of money.
And then they add like 1 more cent or something to it.
Yeah, because he says he's not going to sell it, and then Darkwing flies by, and he goes, he's like 20,005. I'm listening. And then
Gaz and Hunt pop up.
Yeah, our little gorehound shows up. Her horror movie idea is about fish killing people, including they start ripping people's necks open. She like literally says ripping people's necks open.
Yeah.
that I don't know. If this was my kid, I'd get her into therapy. I love you. I love you very much, Gosalyn, but you need some help.
Yeah, and then Gaz and Hunt, they find the Phantom costumes.
Yes, because they have to hide from Darkwing.
Yeah. It's
like this whole plot is just the two of them trying to hide from Darkwing. So yeah, they find Phantom costumes and
this is where DW gets his big break. Tuskernini hires him.
Yeah, because Tuskernini, now Darkwing's in the way, and the only way to get rid of him is to kill him. Yep. So he hires him so he can kill him. And I feel like Darkwing is like way too dense. Like Tuskernini is one of his enemies, and like he's trusting him completely and does not question what's going on. Like that Tuskernini could possibly be at fault, like at any point until the very end of the episode.
Yeah.
Like he's way too. Usually, Darkwing is not that trusting when it comes to the villains.
Mm-hmm. I think the way they sold it is because his ego with I'm a star. That's how they kind of sold it, But like you said, though, I do agree with you.
I do like at the very beginning. I never mentioned it. Darkwing recognizes Tuskernini and he goes, "Don't you know me from somewhere?" And Tuskernini says, "Never been there." Yeah. So he decides to hire Darkwing and keeps trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a little scene with Launchpad. He keeps running into different phantoms.
Yeah, and he's like, it seemed like he was searching though. He's like, here, Phantom.
You gotta find something for Launchpad to do now that he's not really necessary for the plot.
Yeah.
So we have 3 phantoms. I mean, we know one is Gosalyn.
And Honker,
we can tell one is the Penguin just by the beak.
We don't know who the third one is yet, though.
It could be a legitimate phantom. We don't know. There's one more with glowing green eyes, and we don't know who this guy is.
Yeah. But then Darkwing gets his own dressing room, and the name of his movie is Citizen Duck.
I don't know. Another Orson Welles shout out.
I know, right? But then Gloria is refusing to work with him at first.
Yeah, because every time Darkwing is around, something bad happens. I wouldn't want to work with him either. Mm-hmm. And he starts questioning where the aliens are again.
Oh, it's hilarious because this is like the 3rd time he mentions it, ain't it?
Tuskernini says it's because we're aliens in our own society.
But then DW is reading his script, and what happens, Mike?
Well, he's trying to do he's trying to act in the movie, right? And Tuskernini keeps dropping things on him.
Oh man, pianos, rocks,
a car, an anvil, and an elephant. But we all know Darkwing doesn't go down that easy.
Oh, of course not.
So yeah, so next he has to take drastic measures. So he has him jump out of a plane with a defective parachute.
But he's saved though.
Who saves him?
A phantom. We know it's Phantom, but we can't say which one yet.
Yeah. But he lands on a mattress. But he goes right through it, so that probably hurt regardless. Can I just say that after a while, I found AF Erret kind of annoying. It's just me.
No, I found him annoying from the very beginning.
But they cut to a scene of him screaming, like, "It's a phantom! It's a phantom! You and your dead husbands!" It's like, oh my god, dude, shut up.
Oh, dang, you were that annoyed?
No, it's just the voice. Not even to knock the voice actor. It's the voice they give him.
Okay.
You know me. I play up how I feel about it. So then they have Darkwing in a random haunted house.
Well, that's when he began his search for the Phantom, correct?
Yeah. I guess they were kind of going for a Scooby-Doo thing. They had to have been, because you're gonna see the Phantom going in and out of doors.
See, I thought they were going for the Haunted Mansion because, it's Disney, but I could see Scooby-Doo.
But once you do a scene of characters going in and out of doors like that, that's Scooby-Doo. Like that's definitely what it is. It's so played out. Maybe not then, but it's played out now. Mm-hmm. Isn't it kind of weird when Launchpad sees a phantom and he crashes into something and his head gets stuck in his body and stays that way, like he's headless? Because you see that the one phantom, that the one we don't know, is like just carrying Launchpad under his arm and he has no head. Mm-hmm. It's just whoever made that decision to keep him that way, it's weird. And then so Darkwing gets electrocuted by a camera, flies out of the haunted house, ends up with Tuskernini, and then we just blow through the climax of this episode.
Oh yeah,
like the last 2-3 minutes, it's just bam, 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 bam. They blow right through it. So,
I did like though once he's captured and they Tuskernini throws him in the wagon. Gloria just starts naming all of her husbands. I thought that was hilarious, man.
I think some of the ones she names are intentional references because she says Bud and Lou. Those are the first names of Abbott and Costello. Mm-hmm. And she says Oliver and Stan, and that's Laurel and Hardy.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. She does a few more, but my brain didn't pick up on anything. But I know some of those are references.
Okay, yeah, I mean, she couldn't even name them all. Because you could see her facial expression. She was thinking hard, like.
Yeah, and I do like, probably my favorite scene in the episode is where Darkwing has to rewind the whole episode in his mind.
I love that part, man.
And go through it. Like, he's all tied up, but he's walking around, like, all the still shots, trying to, like, piece together what's happening.
And how does he end that, though, before he kind of figures it out?
And the space aliens? I just don't know.
Because it is funny. The movie was a space alien movie, and then it just went all over the place,
Yeah. A little bit of me thinks they did this last bit because the episode was all over the place. So by having Darkwing get up and piece it together is just reminding the audience of the sequence of events. But if that's why they did it in a really clever way.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite part of the whole episode. Him piecing it all together, and then the alien joke,
And then he goes, "I ended up tied in a wagon with everyone and his brother." So then we get 3 Phantom reveals in a row.
Yep.
The first Phantom, the Penguins. Obviously, you can't mistake the beak. Yep. The second Phantom shows up with a noisemaker. Cape gets caught in a camera, and it's Gosalyn and Honker.
And then we get the third one.
The third Phantom. And that one even scares Tuskernini. And the Phantom captures everyone.
I was going to say he captured him first.
Tuskernini, everybody. And the Phantom throws off his cape, pulls off his mustache. It's a security guard, but it's not even the security guard. It's one of Swan Song's husbands, Nuke Glimmer. What a name.
And it was funny because she couldn't even remember his name at first. She was like, "That's my first husband."
Well, if you were married 20-something times, you wouldn't remember either.
Oh, man. I thought that was hilarious. She couldn't even remember him right away, her first husband.
But he gets a super fast defeat. He's barely a villain.
Oh, yeah. He's like a villain for 10 seconds? Not even that long.
Yeah, because the Darkwing does this. What is it? He uses his gas gun, right? To shoot a little pellet, and then an arm comes out and puts a hammer into the ground, and the oil shoots him off into the sky.
Yeah.
He's it could have made him out to be a bigger villain than he is, but he's the absolute nobody, know? And so everyone's out of the wagon except Tuskernini and the villain, and the Penguins, I mean. And so then with all the oil, AF Erret decides he can make whatever he wants. So Gosalyn, again, obsessed with zombies, really obsessed with zombies. And Launchpad mentions the iris. He doesn't say what it is.
No, he doesn't.
I like the little circles that get smaller and smaller until they're all black. And then Darkwing says if he was directing it, he would just say, cut.
Yep.
And I like how the background goes black behind him and he's still in the shot.
Yeah, he's still in the shot, and then everything ends.
Yeah. You know what? This episode is not one of my favorites by an absolute long shot. It's probably close to the bottom for me. But when it's clever, it's clever. But it isn't clever enough.
Okay. You're making a fair argument. I mean, I enjoy it. It's not one of my favorites. It's not one of my worst ones. It kind of, I don't want to say it's average. It's like just slightly below average because there's some parts in it that kind of picks it back up, For me, I can't speak for you. For me, it kind of picks it up, with Darkwing putting the whole piece together, the ongoing alien jokes, the different movie sets, because we got different movie sets in it. We got Alien, you got UFOs, you got boxing, you got Wild Wild West, But it's all over the place.
I feel like there's some missed potential. They could have done a lot more with the movie studio idea. Because, down the line when they turn their attention to TV in twitching channels and A Star Is Scorned, those 2 episodes blow this one away. Especially A Star Is Scorned. That one's one of my favorites. But this one's okay. It's an early episode too.
Okay.
And like I always say, you can't be too hard on these earlier ones.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's Hush Hush Sweet Charlatan.
So how many gas gun canisters are you giving this one, Mike?
2.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give it 2.5. And the reason why I think I like it a little bit more than you, like I said earlier, was when they pieced the whole when Darkwing pieces the whole crime together. I like a lot of the jokes, the alien jokes, like where's the aliens? I like the tour guide little side jokes. I like the Gloria jokes, how she has the 27 husband, she can't remember their names, and then she's trying to remember all their names. It has some jokes here and there, but there are some things that, the Goss and Honker thing, like you said, it wasn't there. You didn't really need it. You didn't need all the Phantom, the main Phantom at the end, the villain. It was like a little twist to it, but it didn't do much.
Yeah, the episode also jumps around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden you're with one character, then it's like a new scene, and then another character shows up. It doesn't flow as well as I wish it did.
Yeah, I think if the animation was a little bit better, I think I would have liked it more. I think I would have given it a 3. If the animation was pumped up some, I definitely would have liked it a little more.
Well, that's going to be next episode. That would be probably a lot less than average if the animation wasn't so good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd getting a break from Sunwoo for at least one episode. Yeah, so that's this episode. Do we really have any characters to rate that you want to rate?
Nah, I mean Tuskernini, we've already rated him. I'm not rating Newt.
Tuskernini episodes get better from here on. I mean, there's only 3 more.
Okay.
But the remaining 3 are better than the first 2, at least in my opinion.
Okay.
He gets better. He does get better.
What episode we got next, Mike?
Can't Buy You Love, our first meeting with Jambalaya Jake and Gumbo, which I know he doesn't have many fans, but I'm okay with the episode, like I said, because it has good animation, but I am not going to say more than that. Catch us next time with that one.
Okay. I might be kind of putting you on the spot here, but what's our next Saturday morning one?
Our next Saturday morning one is Fungus Among Us.
Ooh, I like that one.
We'll get into Morgana. Me and you are so obsessed with getting the Negaduck and the Quackerjack that Morgana's coming first. We're getting her first.
But I like Morgana. You're kind of on the fence with her,
no,
right?
I have my feelings toward Morgana. I like Morgana, but we'll get to her. We'll talk about her. And like I said, one of the last times we recorded, I'm excited because Fungus Among Us, I will finally get to watch it on Disney Plus.
Okay, yeah, Disney Plus is about to launch, even though y'all gonna hear this way after Disney Plus. way after. Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying Disney Plus. I'm sure we will, but hello from the distant past. Okay. Well, Mike, I'm going to give a shout out real quick, man. I want to give a shout out to, oh my God, I have no idea how to pronounce this name, to Rack Herbst. Have you seen it?
I know who that is, and I think that's probably as close as you're going to get.
Okay. So if I mispronounce that, I apologize big time, but I definitely appreciate how active you've been on the page, liking, sharing. Shout out to you, man. Or she, I think it's a she because she has a Webby profile icon.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. If it's a he, I definitely apologize again. All right. And Mike, where can they listen to us, man?
You can listen to us on Pocket Cast. There you go.
You went there first. You went there first.
Stitcher, Spotify, Apple devices, Google Play, over at YouTube. That last one I can't remember. What's that other one?
Public Radio, I think, or Radio Public?
Radio Public, yes. Yeah. So again, we're all over the place. Wherever you like listening to your podcast, go over there and enjoy. And if your podcast app lets you rate and review, please do that. I know iTunes does it as well. But, let us know how we're doing.
Okay. As a matter of fact, somebody inbox me. Tell me what you'd like to hear or, on the podcast, If there's something you would like for us to include. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but definitely, give us some suggestions.
What would you like us to discuss at the beginning of an episode? Are there any Flash Quack ideas you guys have? Mm-hmm. We're always up for some ideas for that. Those seem to be happening monthly now, so if anybody has any good ideas for that, we're up for it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it for tonight.
Yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. We hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you stay dangerous.
Have a good night.